Okay, Randy asked me to give you guys a quick tutorial on how I tie my Clousers. I tie them slightly different than some, and tends to make a real durable fly, so I'll show you how I do it. This is a Clouser hook, standard Clouser hook, size 2, good size for Alaska. It is a stainless steel shank, and I use 6/0 unithread in red. I like the uni because it has a little coarser than some and tends to grip the hair a little better as you're using it. So we're going to start it on the hook shank here, and we're going to give some nice touching wraps, covering the hook shank back to about the halfway point, and we're going to advance our thread back forward to about the 1/3 point on the hook shank, and that's where our eyes are going to go in. Like I use the heavy pearl colored eyes for these, or size large I think is what it is, and we're going to X-wrap these on. So you kind of lay it there where we stopped our thread, and we're just going to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wraps to start out. Bring it in front, and we're going to give that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wraps going the other direction. So we've got it X-locked in there. Give it a wrap around, and we're going to wrap our thread this way around our wrappings to bind it in there really good. We're going to do it again. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wrap it around a couple of times, a couple of wraps in back, and I usually do this 3 times. I find that secures my bead eye or my dumbbell eyes to the shank really well. And as I'm doing this, I'm working at about as much thread pressure as I dare put on a 6/0 thread. So now we get that there, eyes are good and secure. I flip that over. I like a little extra security, so I'm going to put a daub of head cement here. You can use whatever you want to do this. Super glue, UV cure, head cement, whatever. So we ended with our thread in the back there. We're just going to come underneath and bring it up front, give it a couple of wraps. That's where we're going to start adding our bucktail. So first thing we're going to do, tie in pink and white. So we're going to start with a nice clump of white bucktail here. And the question with Clousers is always, how much do you use? Well, how much is up to you. I tend to pull a clump off, kind of get things where I like it. But I'll show you kind of compared to the hook eyes. I'm just pinching that flat. So compared to the hook eyes there, or if you want another comparison, here's a pair of scissors you can see kind of compared to the shank. So take our bucktail here, we measure it off. I like this. This is a 1 shank length. I like these tips to be sticking out 1.5 to 2 shank lengths behind. We want a pretty good tail on this. It does take some pretty good sized bucktail to be able to tie them this big on a size 2. So you do want to be careful when you're buying your bucktail. Make sure you get some good long fibers in there. Now I got that measured off, I'm going to take this, and I like to trim my bucks right now, and I like to trim them straight across, nice and crisp, so they have a nice crisp end like that. I don't cut them at an angle or anything, just straight across. But as I stick these in here, I'm going to hold them kind of at an angle. Then I'm going to make 3 loose wraps. 1, 2, 3 to bind those ends. And then from there, I'm going to start making tighter wraps. And as you do that, you kind of have to adjust the butts sometimes. And we're just going to start cranking down on these. And again, I'm operating at about the maximum breaking strength of this 6/0. I'm really cranking down on these. So now, without letting go of the hair, bring my thread underneath, and I'm going to grab that right behind the eye. And I'm going to give that 5 or 6, 7 good wraps there. Now again, without letting go, I'm going to slide back, and this is where I'm going to do open wraps. And I do 5 just to be consistent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right here at the back. Then we're going to go forward again 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give it a couple wraps in back to the front, a couple more wraps. Now you can just take and flip this over with your rotary, but then your vise gets in the way right here. So I actually find it easier to just take it out of the vise, fold those fibers off to the side, and mount it back in my vise upside down. So now we've got our thread up to the front here. That's where we're going to add a little bit of crystal flash. And I like rainbow crystal flash when I'm tying these. So I'm going to grab out of my bundle of rainbow crystal. I grabbed just 2 pieces. And I'm going to find the middle as best I can, fold it in half in the middle, and then I'm just going to cut those loops so that I now have 4 half-size pieces. And I'm not too concerned with these being lined up down here. You can see they're kind of all over the place. Not really a big deal. We're going to trim them later, and you kind of want a little variation anyway. So I take and fold those around my thread like that so that they're kind of locked in real nice. Bring them right up here on top. Lay it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so to tie that in. Then bring these, just kind of try to split the hook point with them. Again, not a big deal at this point in the tying process. There we go. Get them split out like that. Now we're going to switch to our pink for the top of our body. And with here, I tend to do about the same amount as I did on the bottom. Some people vary that and do the top color a little thicker than the body, undercolor, whatever. I like it to be about the same. So again, we're going to take this off, measure it off, about the same length. You want it to be as long as the white fibers to maybe slightly longer, but I tend to put them about the same length. So we're going to measure that off, see where our butts end up, and again, cut them off square right off the bat. Go in at just a little bit of an angle, and we're going to do the same thing as we did before. 1, 2, 3 kind of loose wraps. Make sure those butts aren't hanging over your eye. Kind of adjust it. And we're going to start cranking down. And same thing as before. You want to put about as much pressure as you can with 6/0. And I use the 6/0 because it allows me to get plenty of wraps on here. Get things good and solid without building as much bulk as a heavier thread would. So we want to make sure everything's nice and covered. End up right here at the back. Now you can let go of these and without poking yourself, just kind of spread them out, drape them across the eye of the hook. And I am a hand whip finisher. I don't even know if I own a whip finishing tool anymore. So we're going to spin that thread so it kind of flattens out. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turn whip finish. Pull that tight. Make sure you snug it down good. Just take your scissors, pop that off. Now we're going to start adding a little head cement. And this is also kind of a crucial step to keep your flies nice and durable. You want to get plenty of head cement on here. Enough to cover your entire thread wrap head that you have. But as usual, you don't want to get it in the eyelet. So I just kind of rotate around as I do this with my rotary function. And we're going to take one more pretty good sized daub here. We're going to go right on top of our white fibers, our underbelly going over our eyes, and bring that down and make sure we get into our wraps right here. You do want to make sure you get these rear wraps, and then I like to just smear a little back here and kind of solidify all that. Just makes it a little more durable in the long run. But there you have it. There's the Clouser Minnow in the style that I tie. If you do tie up some of these, make sure Randy doesn't see them. He likes to pilfer these from your fly box when you're not looking or when you are looking. But good fly worked superb in Alaska when I was there.